And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review.
Russian Railroads is one of those good Euro games. It came out a few years ago, and it's one of those games that most people enjoy, who enjoy heavy Euros. There's a new expansion out called Russian Railroads, American Railroads, not German Railroads like the first expansion, but this is the second expansion. It comes in a small little packet that you can find on Board Game Geek, and let me take a look at it and I'll show you how this one plays. In American Rails, you get two different parts to the game. One part is new player boards, the second part is the stock market. With the new player boards, there are a few things that you can see. One thing you can see is there's these new dynamite spaces. So as you advance along the Rocky Mountains, you get some dynamite. When you do the dynamite, there are two boulders here where you just blast out the boulder, get 10 points, as well as now open up the space. Same thing here. So you could open up one industry space and one railway space as you get dynamite to blow up the area. Basically, it's like you're traveling through the Rocky Mountains as you go cross country, and you need to open up the tunnels in the Rocky Mountains. The second thing you see is all of these little stock symbols on the board. These stock symbols equate to the stock board. As you get to each stock symbol, in this case, get a brown piece here. In this case, get the train and a gray piece here. You can then activate stock actions. As you can see, because they have gray pieces, other pieces, the Transcontinental Railroad acts just like the Rocky Mountain. You have a choice of your white piece. Do you want to put it in the Rocky Mountain, or do you want to put it on one of the Transcontinental Railroads? And it makes it a tough choice of which one you want to use. Because you could also, as you see, there are spaces for the ×2s. You can do ×2 bonuses here, 3 of them, or you can put 6 of them here. So you have multiple areas that you can use on the map. You also have 2 new circle tokens. Let me tell you about the circle tokens. Here is a +25. If you can reach the Transcontinental East and Transcontinental West all the way to the end with trains, you get a 10 bonus. If you take this circle, then when you get there, it would be +25 each turn once you've connected and put in what they call the golden spike. The second one is for stocks, and you can use that for an extra stock move. As you can see on the board, there's one other piece that I haven't gotten to yet, which is the industry. There's now 2 industry tracks. You start with both of your tokens. You don't have to earn your second one. The bottom industry track is like normal, where you have to build factories. In this case, there's some special things called steelworks that come out after the 4, the 6, and the 8 train is bought, which are just normal factories that you could put down and use. Now, the industry tokens are interesting because one industry token can go on the bottom track and you get it. The other one can go on the top track. If you get to the industry space on the top track after a factory is built, you use it. But you can just zip ahead and get all the way to the end and not have to actually use the factory, and then you could build factories later only for the bottom industry token. So one industry token can jump ahead while one stays behind and eventually gets ahead. It puts a nice twist on the industry tokens. So now let me get to the second part of the game expansion, which is the stock market. As you see, there's different stock market places. Most of them have a requirement: when you get it, you get it. There's 3, which is why we have these little done markers that have money. When you pay you have to get the requirement and pay the coin. When you do that, you put a done marker to show that you paid that coin. There's 3 of those spaces on the board. So what happens with stocks? That's where we come to the stock market here. In the stock market, basically every time you fulfill a stock, you get to move your stock marker up 1 space. If you're the first person to get to a space, you get to also pick the bonus for that space. In this case, 5 points. Move a brown in a neutral color, build any railroad, move the black 1, move the industry marker 1, take a coin. If you are the next player there, you also move into the slot and you get the same bonus. Eventually, someone will make it to the top. As it happens, the first person who makes it to the top gets to pick the last bonus. Then everyone else can slide in, which will determine later first and second place for an extra 10 and 20 points. In addition, if you make it to the top of the stock market, there is you get what's called a personal payout. And you don't just get the bonus of the level you're at, but you get every single bonus. So if I move up again, I go bonus, 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 and I get a whole ton of bonuses every time. So earning those stocks and making those stock figures is vital to this new expansion because it will give you a lot more options than just using your pieces on the board. And you can, like I said, if you take this circle, you also get one free stock move where you don't have to actually fulfill anything, you just take your circle. So the stock market is a great way to get bonus actions without having to use any of your meeple pieces in the game. Well, I really like this expansion. I love the game. I love German railroads, and this one fits right in the mix. There's a lot of new things that they added. They added 2 industry tracks at once, so you don't have to buy your second industry token, and one goes through the mountains and one goes just along the path. You can do either one. You can do a mix of them. The industry path is really good in this. I also like that money becomes more valuable because you're getting money in multiple different ways throughout the game, which makes not having to worry about going to the money space to get those coins. You can get coins in multiple ways here. I also really like the new features on the player maps. Those player maps really add a lot. I like the Continental Railroad, how the railroads kind of combine, so you want to do 2 tracks at once to get to the end to get those extra bonuses. And I also like the freedom of the tracks because you could decide which track you want your big white one to go on. You don't have to just do it on the top track anymore. Now, the big white one could go on the Continental Railroad, and you can make a lot of money doing the Transcontinental Railroad, or you can make a lot of money doing the giant railway route. Those are the great things. But the thing that I like the most is the stock market. The stock market really adds to this game. It gives you choices. You want those little stock bonuses, what you'd call the dividends as the payout. You want those because there's lots of little bonuses that you're going to get along the way. And each of those bonuses gives you something, more money, more tracks to lay, everything. And it's important to go up to stock because as you're going up to stock, other people are going up to stock. Everyone's getting bonuses. Everyone's getting things. And the stock market, to me, is what makes this expansion very, very worthwhile and one that I would highly recommend to people. If you're looking for a little bit more meat on the game than you had, this adds it. The stock market really adds that extra little bit of meat that makes this expansion a must get. In fact, I like it so much that I'm giving this one an awesomeness rating of 9. That's how much I like it. It's one that I would recommend hunting and seeking out if you already have Russian railroads, if you already have German railroads. Now you get 4 new mats with 4 new ways to lay your tracks, plus you get the stock market. You really get a lot in this little packet, and this is one I highly, highly recommend. That's Russian Railroads, American Railroads.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.